Hello everyone, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Agatha All Along. If you have not seen this episode, which many of you might not have just because of how quickly I actually made a video for once, please make sure to pause this video, watch the episode, and then come back to see me. Or if you don't care about spoilers, well then, here we are. So this episode starts off right with the last one left off, which is them entering the Witch's Road. They begin walking down the Witch's Road, trying to figure out where to go. They all then find out that the teen has a spell on him, specifically a concealment spell, a spell that blocks certain information from the rest of the group. So they're now contemplating what it actually is that's being hidden. Agatha, surprisingly, admits that she was not aware of fully what was going on, and that she would never do a spell like this because it is beneath her. They actually believe her, mostly due to the fact that she has no idea what this boy is capable of and wants to keep him around just in case um, he's actually useful and or has some hidden powers that is unclear. During all of this, they lose Mrs. Hart because she decides to go off the rails and go her own way. She, however, gets off the road, and because of that, the road begins to quite literally eat her. She starts screaming, the rest of the group run after her, they pull her out of the mud pit, and as that happens, a new area is unlocked. Apparently, the trials have begun because their first trial was in a house. So they walk to this house, they go in, but before they go in, the house is the phases of the moon, specifically the water sign of the moon, which is going to be very important for later. It seems to me that the trials are going to be all of the different elements. And because there are five to a coven, technically, there, there's going to be, my guess, five trials. But anyway, they go in, their entire physique, well, their outfits change and everything else to match the surrounding areas. They go there and they walk in, and obviously, once they walk in, there's no way to get out. So they begin to look around. They find a card that tells them, "Welcome to the first trial." And there's a riddle in the back that tells them basically that there's wine. So they all drink the wine except for Agatha, and the teen. The teen because he's too young. So the idea now is everyone's poisoned. They begin to swell up. They realize Agatha's the only one who didn't drink. She's then forced to drink, which she is very not happy about. However, it was only when the teenager decided to drink the wine that she stopped him and drank it herself, which is a very key point that we'll talk about later. So during all of this, we have this going on, and they're now trying to figure out what they're going to do to beat the make an antidote. But before that happens, Jennifer speaks to the teen and explains to him that Agatha should not be trusted. That although she's keeping him around for now, that does not mean she's going to be doing so forever. He's like, no, I trust her. And that's when Jennifer explains, well, the rumor is she sold her son to the devil to get the Darkhold. And he doesn't believe her, but she goes, no, very possibly true. And she goes, who knows what he would be now, whether he's a demon, a witch, or whatever, and possibly even an avatar for Mephisto, which is the first time, finally, ever, super happy to finally say this, that Mephisto has officially been named for what has felt like forever. But anyway, we'll discuss that later. So they now are trying to rustle up all the ingredients to the potion. Because first their face swells, then it goes back to normal. That's when Jennifer realizes what poison it is. So she then tells everyone what they need to get to put all together for them to make a potion, an antidote. So they all split up. Agatha's with Lillian, Jennifer's by herself, and the teen is with, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, Alice. And then Mrs. Hart is passed out because she started hallucinating before everyone else. Um, Apparently, this poison makes you see your worst fears. So we get to see a little bit of the past of everyone. So apparently, to Alice, we see the scene of her mother talking about her grandmother's death and how she must do something to stop it from happening, or something along those lines, where it's like her mother is showing signs of being delusional. However, now that she knows about witchcraft and everything else, that clearly mom might not have been as crazy as she thought. But seeing that scene must have put a huge toll on her emotionally. We then have Jennifer, who is dealing with a white man who is dressed up like he's in the 30s, 20s, maybe, as a doctor, and explaining how she's a horrible person and she needs to be cleansed. Um, we have Lillian, who sees this girl. She walks over to her and sees that she's dead, and everyone else has died as well. And Agatha kind of just knocks her out of it, and she's like, and she speaks another language. I wish I could tell you which one, but Agatha knows right away that she was seeing her past and did not make a joke or anything and got her to go back. So they gather all the ingredients, they begin to put it in the sink. Um, they have to heat it up, and it begins to change color. While this is going on, we then realize that they all need to put a strand of their hair into the potion. While this is going on, Agatha begins to hallucinate. She hears a baby cry. All of a sudden, there is a stroller in the middle of the kitchen. She goes over to it, pulls the blanket away, and sees the Darkhold. She then snaps back into reality. She pulls her hair in. They all put it in, and nothing. Let me rephrase this. Something happens, but not what's supposed to happen. So Jennifer's now trying to figure out what's the piece that's missing, and then she realizes they need the blood of the cleansed, of the unpoisoned. So that's when the teen gets his hand cut, puts into the liquid, and they all drink it. They make um, Mrs. Hart drink it as well, and that's when the glass begins to break and the room begins to flood. However, an oven door opens, and that is supposed to be their way out. Um, Lillian is very against it and even talks about a friend of hers who had a similar issue where, in a sweet house where it didn't go well for her friend. However, they all decide to go in for obvious reasons. They make sure Mrs. Hart comes with them, although she was unable to move herself. They go down the water slide, and when they get to the end, they begin to get ready to move around and go on the Witch's Road. However, apparently Mrs. Hart had died. And although they're not quite sure if it's because she has no magical abilities or if it's because she drank so much of it that it was enough to kill her. And that, my friends, was the end of the episode. So what we have here, and I talked about it quite briefly, um, I believe there's going to be four more stages, four more trials, each one going to the elements. So this one was the water one. So Jennifer's expertise is over. Um, However, I have a feeling that there might potentially, although five makes the most sense, and I have a feeling five is the normal amount, but because they have a special edition, I feel like there might be a sixth trial, which will throw Agatha off as well because when she did it, there were only five. I'm guessing. However, obviously we're going to have a fire, a fire, a wind, and an earth trial, and then an Agatha trial. Agatha, I'm guessing, is power or darkness. I'm not quite sure which, but we'll see. We also finally get Mephisto being mentioned by name, finally. Granted, it's just in passing, but he does exist now, officially. What else was I going to say? We also find out a little bit of Agatha's past. We had a hint of it in the first episode about the son's room when she was under the spell, and we had Jennifer kind of painting the picture of Agatha selling her son to get the Darkhold. And then really get it confirmed pretty well when she has her hallucination of what she fears the most, and it is the crib of her child crying, and when she removes the blanket, it's the Darkhold. So we're going to see a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of spooky stuff coming in these next episodes, and I am very curious to see where that goes, and what's going to happen next. Overall, thought this episode was really well done. Um, Liking the show so far, liking the way that they're doing it. Um, I mean, obviously it's Halloween theme, right around the Halloween time, so we have that spookiness to it. Obviously, it's also about witches, but very curious to see where this is going to lead. I still believe and will continue to say that Mephisto will make an appearance here. Um, or at the very least at the like ending credit scene at the end of the series we'll see it, something along those lines. We have to have him, but I also believe that at the end of this road we find Wanda, or at least a variant, a variant of Wanda. We'll have to wait and see, but those are my predictions for right now, and we'll have to wait and see from there. However, when it comes to, I don't know these characters well enough to know, sorry, to know their background enough to know exactly what those moments that they saw were important of. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night. Bye.